Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here in Foley Square. Today, Wednesday, May 8th, the day is off the New York State Trump trial, and so we'll be covering the Southern District of New York. But first, Stormy Daniels, yesterday, direct and some cross-examination. There's more to come. The cross had largely to do with unpaid attorney's fees, where she had Trump was seeking to collect attorney's fees, and she's basically said, I will never pay that orange turd a penny. So how that cuts with the jury, I'm not sure, but we'll continue to cover it. Meanwhile, while that was going on, Judge Cannon down in Florida essentially delayed indefinitely the documents trial, having to do with, there's some SEPA issues there, and I'm going to toot the horn again. Inner City Press has won an order to unseal SEPA transcripts in U.S. versus Joshua Schulte. We haven't seen the transcripts yet because the Department of Justice, in its infinite wisdom, asked for a stay to appeal, but then hasn't appealed or released the documents. So we continue watching out for it. There's the Trump docket never ends. There's a Trump media insider trading trial that's going to closing arguments today. U.S. versus Gerlich. Used to be U.S. versus Schwartzman, but Schwartzman pled out. Gerlich, fighting the good fight, has put up a pretty good defense. So we'll be covering, maybe, I don't know what's going to happen today. Paduch is the case behind me in 40 Foley, a urologist, accused of some very nasty behavior with his patients, who he tried to say were low IQ. We've written a story about that. That was turned down by the judge, and the jury is deliberating. So expect a decision sometime soon. How long could jury deliberations go in the Trump trial? That we don't know. Beginning now, a trial in over there in 500 Pearl, the large building behind my right ear, is going to be U.S. versus Hwang. It's about Archegos, some alleged manipulation, but it's sort of a case of first impression. We've been covering it, so you can cover that as well. I'm glad to be footloose and fancy-free in the courts today. Meanwhile, not footloose nor fancy-free, we cover the United Nations. In fact, that was my beat before coming down here, until unceremoniously, for asking the wrong question about Antonio Guterres' financial statements, I was physically removed and have never set foot in again. But I will say this about the UN. Now, this is a complex one. Harvey Weinstein's conviction was overturned, reversed by the Court of Appeals. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of a sleazy Harvey Weinstein. However, it's not like the Court of Appeals is some kind of, it's a very progressive court. It's a very democratic court. So it had to do with due process. It had to do with allowing in too much evidence against the defendant that should have been, it was irrelevant and poisoned the jury, etc. It may come up in the Trump trial, by the way, in terms of the length and some of the things said by Stormy Daniels. And I say that without rancor or without, I'm just saying that it was weird that they decided to push forward. But now here's the killer. Here's the UN connection. The United Nations experts have denounced the reversal of Harvey Weinstein's conviction. And I understand your average person would say Harvey Weinstein, sleazebag, but this is one. The United Nations always says it doesn't comment on internal court decisions in other cases. In fact, when I was there, I asked them about outrageous anti-press court decisions in Cameroon, and they said to me, we don't comment on the internal judicial processes. So these guys are just grandstanding, and I think it's one of these things again where I don't know if they looked into it. Like the grounds were due process. I think they just trying to make themselves relevant so they can continue to take money. And all I want to say is, okay, if you're going to take public money, you've got to allow the press in to cover it, because just allowing your friends and state media from various countries that basically use and abuse the UN is not enough. So we will not rest. We've had two law firms, Quinn Emanuel and Dwayne Morris, have both written to them saying you need to have a dialogue about freedom of the press. No answer at all, but we won't rest. Here or there. InnerCityPress.com, to be continued.